Hey, good afternoon, everybody, here on your day after Election Day, November the 6th, 2024. Decided I was going to do a little bit of update here for this afternoon since we've got another major hurricane. Boy, 2024 has been one of those seasons, man. The good news on this one is that it's not expected to be a big player once it gets in the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but it is going to be impacting some of the Florida Keys. So I'm watching that weather very closely here across the Florida Keys as this system, as this hurricane, very powerful hurricane, gets ready to cross over into the Gulf. So let's talk about the latest specific conditions here on this storm. As I go ahead and pull up the latest here on that. Again, this is of the latest advisory. Maximum sustained winds are up to 115 miles per hour. How you doing there, Johnny? Good to see you there. Joni Jacobs is on. Good to see you there. Again, winds pressure's down to 956. Continuing to move to the northwest at 14. I think we pretty much bottomed out here. But again, this was the 1 o'clock advisory on Eastern Standard Time. So again, this system is continuing, should be moving and making a landfall here in the next few hours here across Cuba. Now, the good news is that once it gets across, it's gonna start to weaken again, and then we're gonna see it begin to change a little bit. So we're gonna have to we'll see how that works out here as it moves into some cooler waters. That's the big thing. It's gonna be cooler waters it's gonna be dealing with, and we'll have some wind shear. I think a little wind shear will be kind of getting there as well. Let's look at the radar here. I do want to show you the radar here a little bit and show you how it goes. It shows up very nicely on the radar site there out of Key West. You can see it pretty well here. Now, one thing I am noticing here is I go ahead and zoom in here on the eye. And by the way, if you're new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing that. It kind of helps me out with the algorithm here a little bit. And don't forget to leave a thumbs up. What I am seeing, though, it looks like the eye's beginning to open up here a little bit. It's kind of seeing that just a little bit, the eyes opening up. And it looks like maybe a little bit of dry air has gotten into this a little bit. So I think we've peaked out. I think we're definitely seeing winds that are getting pretty close to peaking out. I don't think we'll get any stronger than what it is. Now, the coastline is sitting right in here. So we're very, very close to a landfall. The center here is sitting right about there. So it's moved off just a little bit as it continues to move at about 14 miles per hour, getting up there. But we are getting some of these outer squalls coming in here into the Key West area. You're seeing some of these here down between Marathon and in through Key West. We're getting some of these outer squalls. And they're going to have to watch out for potential tornadoes. We could see some isolated tornadoes, water spouts, obviously, in this area that could be moving on through there. I do have a few cameras there in Key West. We can take a look at some of the conditions going on there. Doesn't look too bad. A little breezy with some of the conditions there, but nothing to be too concerned about. The big concern, though, will be watching one of these squalls that may come up with some very heavy rains and maybe an isolated water spout or two that are coming on through. There's a nice shot. That's actually down there. If you're familiar with that part of Key West, that's actually down where the cruise ships come in down there. So you can see the flags there, a little bit of wind. At least the surf conditions aren't looking too bad down there right now. And, of course, this is down toward where the southernmost point of the United States. Been there once myself. I actually was down there in, was it 99? No, 99 was last time I was actually down at Key West. But that's the furthest point. So folks are getting a little wet. You can tell by the roads down there. Everything's a little damp, a little bit wet and rainy. And the seas are starting to come up. Oh, there you go. The seas starting to come up there just a little bit. As the storm system gets ready to come on by. So again, we're only looking at about a slight risk for severe weather in the form of those water spouts that may come on with some of those outer bands. So we're talking about Key West and obviously getting in over near Naples with the marginal risk, Key Largo and Marathon, just again, slight risk with some of those outer bands that'll come through there. And of course, with that, that's where the highest tornado risk obviously is running out there toward Key West. That's running about 5%. So again, just a glancing blow from, hopefully, I'm praying, will actually be the last major hurricane of the season we'll have to deal with here as far as 2024. And we'll get to a reset and we'll get to do it again heading into, obviously, next year. Now, what we're going to be looking here, and I do want to show you a couple things, is the fact that we're dealing with some sea temperatures that's getting ready to move into that are not going to be quite as warm as what we've seen previously. So you're seeing the water temperatures cooling off, obviously, out here in the Gulf of Mexico. So right now it's in pretty much bath water. It's been moving over to that. So as it moves into that, that's going to be an issue. And then it looks like as it gets into about, say, right about there, it looks like the steering currents for the system are going to start to collapse There's a big, large cone of uncertainty on that track there, which I'll pull back up here in a second. So again, there were some of these things we're wanting to go ahead and maybe take it up into the north, maybe going up toward say Louisiana. Other ones want to steer it down toward the south. So there's a couple of little areas there. But otherwise, I think the trend is for this thing to weaken as we get closer to landfall. So let me go again and show you once again that track. Notice that very, very large cone of uncertainty there, right there. Because it looks like as it gets up to early next week that I believe it's going to go ahead and start to collapse. The steering currents are going to collapse in that area, and it may just wash on out completely as we go into early next week. So I can show you this here. Let me make sure I got the latest. I want to see if I got the latest 12Z. Yep, 12Z's up here. So let's go take a look at the model data here. I want to show you this as we look at the latest European run here. So this is the main sea surface temperature anomaly map here. As you can see it coming on across here on the European. So the European and American GFS are in pretty good agreement with this hurricane coming in pretty close to the Keys here and then moving up to the north. Hey, I've noticed we got some new people jumping on board. I'm giving an update here on Hurricane Francis, which is a major hurricane. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, come on, why don't you go ahead and do so. It's free and helps the algorithm out. And give me a thumbs up if you appreciate it. I appreciate your support there. So again, watching this come on out here into the Gulf, and then notice what the European does with this. This thing wants to take a left turn here, and telemarketers like I really care about who you're calling. Go away. All right. So again, this will steer off toward the south, and then it kind of just spins there a little bit, and it kind of stalls, and then it kind of goes down to the south. See that? I mean, it spins there for a couple days through the weekend, and then weekends, and then it just kind of goes down into Mexico and says goodbye. So that's what we're looking at here. Hopefully, it'll stay away from the northern Gulf Coast. I was thinking potentially we might get that. Let's see what the American GFS is doing as the comparison on this. So we'll look at the 12Z here. This is the American GFS model, so we can use this as comparison here. As you can see, it go out in the middle of the Gulf here, and it's still trying to favor. It stalls there. It just sits there for several run there all day on Sunday, and then it looks like just like it just looks like it just piddles on out, just kind of dies on out as it goes on through. So the good news on this is that it doesn't look like we're going to get another landfalling hurricane in the United States. Now our friends down in Cuba, that's a different story, man. Those guys are going to get raked here pretty good, as we're seeing here on the radar. As I go and pull this up once again, as we're getting closer and closer to landfall. Let me freeze that real quick and kind of get an idea how many miles are we from actual landfall here. Looks like we are proud. Oops, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one. Let's get the right tool. Turn that off. There we go. Kind of going from right about there. Oops, come on there. There you go. Got to highlight it there, Majeski. So we're about 30 miles from the coastline there. So you're basically looking at about another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours getting into landfall. Then, this part of Cuba, if you're not familiar with it, it's not mountainous like the west end of it. So it's relatively flat in here. So we're talking just a few miles for this to go across. It'll weaken a little bit. I mean, we're not talking about a huge deal here. So this thing is only about, what we're talking about, 40 miles across as far as the ocean's concerned. So it might weaken just a little bit because it is going over land for a couple hours, and then it'll emerge back out into the Gulf. Now, the good news is, as you look at the track here, let me turn this back off here. As you look at the track, see, we got it as a Cat 3 hurricane here going over the island. All right, so we got that right there. And then it starts to weaken. It's going to hold as a Category 2 as it goes out here into the Gulf. And then we're back to a Category 1. And then once it gets out into the Gulf, it just kind of falls apart out here in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. It looks like it's just going to kind of meander out here as that's what the couple of the models right now are showing here for the moment. So, hey guys, if you guys got any questions and stuff, please don't hesitate to give me a little buzz there. I'm going to be working on my new feature tonight. I'm so excited about this feature here for tonight as part of the Weather Nerds Extra feature. So I wanted to do a little live update on this before I got kicking into that a little bit later. So again, the latest here on the storm is that we do have a Category 3 hurricane, again, adding to our total. I think that gets us up to 5 or 6 major hurricanes for the 2024 season. So didn't quite get the number we were expecting, but I think we definitely caught up a lot there at the end here as we got up to the R-named storm. We still might see a chance of maybe seeing one more potential storm. I do want to highlight this once again. Let me go back here to the latest. As you can see, that area of disturbed weather there behind this system. So we'll have to watch this one here closely to see if this one actually develops. The American GFS was kind of hinting at maybe we get something in there, but we'll see what happens with that right now over the next few days or so. And see if that will come true or not. Hey, Johnny, you're asking about what's looking like winter-wise for Georgia. I think it's going to be a warm one. I mean, boy, this pattern has been lousy, stinky. We probably may get a cold shot or two. I mean, I'm sitting there. If we didn't get that cold shot there in October for parts of North Georgia, we may not even get a freeze in the state of Georgia until we get into December. It's just very, very warm. I don't like the pattern we're seeing here at all. Although I still may make for an active severe weather pattern out in the middle of the country right now, the way it's looking. But I don't really expect. I think it's going to be a mild winter for a lot of areas of the southeast. That's my outlook for you for right now. But again, let me go back up here to Key West here. I want to go look back at the radar. So let's go back over here to the radar. Let's go back to radar Omega. It was interesting last night as I was watching some of the election stuff. I was watching some of the YouTubers and stuff out there. It's amazing what a lot of these political pundits do out there with their stuff. But look at get some of these squalls here coming through the lower Keys right now. The heaviest stuff is we're kind of between Marathon and Key West. Just some spotty showers out here toward Key West here at the for the moment. But again, not that big a deal as this is moving on here toward the north and east. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick 15-minute update here once again for you guys, just so you know what's going on with the storm. And you can share this with your friends and colleagues. Anybody's interested in the tropics for right now. The good news here is we're not expecting this to hit the continental United States. That's the good news. Bad news is Cuba's getting nailed right now. And looks like it's hitting as a major hurricane, which is very, very terrible to see with this thing coming on into the Gulf. So the good news is at least it's going to fizzle out in the Gulf and not become a problem for the continental United States. All right, that's your quick live update here on our storm. I just wanted to get that out here for you guys so you had the latest on the storm as it's getting ready to cross the Cuba area there and go into the Gulf of Mexico. And that is going to be your update for now. Again, I'm going to be still working on my dailies. I'm still putting those out, and my shorts are continuing to do some good stuff there as well with those hurricane shorts. Continue to grow the channel. We added eight new subscribers yesterday, 10 to 11 before that, so we're moving in the right direction. All right, you guys take it easy. We'll see you on my next update.